Israel is reporting that Iran is firing more missiles toward the area of one of its major nuclear research centers. Sirens sounding in the area again just hours after two Iranian strikes wounded more than 150 people. It comes as fresh threats between the United States and Iran to strike critical infrastructure, and it's raising the fears for millions of people across the Middle East. President Trump is giving Iran just 48 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, warning the United States will obliterate Iranian power plants if it doesn't. The strait carries about a fifth of the world's oil, and its disruption is already rattling global markets, as you know, with U.S. gas prices up more than $1 in just a month. And now Iran is firing back with a warning of its own. So NewsNation's Joe Khalil is tracking this one closely for us there from Dubai. Joe, how is Iran responding?
They're responding basically with threats, retaliating, sort of the same thing that President Trump said that he would do if the Iranians do not reopen the Strait of Hormuz. As you laid it out there, Anna, it has obviously been an incredibly tough pressure point on the global economy. And so President Trump essentially warning the Iranians that if by Monday night they do not release their grip on the Strait of Hormuz and allow oil to flow through that critical narrow strait, that waterway, that he says that Iranian targets in terms of power plants are going to be obliterated. And he says starting with the biggest one first. Now, in response to that, the Iranian military spokesperson said that if the U.S. moves in that direction, then Iran is going to strike IT infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and also water desalination plants in the United States, or belonging to the United States and Israel as well. So a war not just of strikes back and forth, but a serious war of rhetoric back and forth, escalating things as well, Anna. And this is what the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, said today about the need to continue even further strikes on Iran.
They have now the capacity to reach deep into Europe. They already have fired on a European country, Cyprus. They are putting everyone in their sights. And fourth, they're stopping a maritime international route, energy route, and trying to blackmail the entire world.
Now, Israel was really ramping up their strikes today, not just in Iran, but also in Lebanon here, as you see, exploding this bridge that really brings together the southern and northern parts of Lebanon. The southern part is where Israel's strikes and their ground operation have really been concentrated, as that's where Hezbollah mostly is, their strongholds in Lebanon. There were also several strikes on Iran today from the United States and Israel, and this comes in response to what we saw last night. For the first time, as you laid out, Anna, two Iranian missiles broke through Israel's normally reliable Iron Dome air defense system and struck directly two buildings. One of them, as you pointed out, was actually at a nuclear location, incredibly important for Israel's military. The other was this here, Arad, which is, as you can see, looking like a residential area. More than 180 casualties we are reported out by the Israeli media and confirmed by their health ministry. So obviously the first time that we've seen a mass casualty incident occur in the life of this war inside of Israel.
Yeah, you can really underscore that 180 people now, so that death toll is rising, and it may rise even further as they start sifting through the rubble even more, looking for their loved ones. NewsNation's Joe Khalil live in Dubai. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.